Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Test 1, 2. It is Donny Gillson, 32 Degrees of Insanity, right here on K-Beach. K-Beach Radio is kbeach.org and K-Beach FM, 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Good to be back here for the... back for the fifth show. My goodness, I feel like I've been here forever, along with the Truth Frequency Radio Network that we're broadcasting worldwide every Thursday night here. We start at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and going all the way till about 11. Tonight we got a big show ahead of you this evening. We have JoAnne Cremer, who is going to be joining us tonight. She is the host of Breaking the Spell, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more information about her in the coming moments ahead. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on in this world. All of you are familiar with a guy named Alex Jones, and Alex Jones is part of the Genesis Communications Network. He also does a show called InfoWars. Does a very fabulous job for his show. He's brought a lot of interesting information towards, in regards to, the FEMA camps and the government and how basically the government is basically, I don't want to, say effing us, but yeah, that's exactly what the government is doing. And Alex has, from time to time, been a little bit of a fearmonger, but I was watching something yesterday that really, really irritated me. Alex Jones was stating that at least 5 million people are going to die from this Ebola virus. Now, there was a press conference where one of the generals was at the White House, and there was an open mic, and, basically said that we're screwed, and that people are coming back positive for the Ebola virus, and some are having these flu-like symptoms. But 5 million people dying from a virus that can be controlled, more people are going to die from the flu than they will from catching the Ebola virus. So please, if you're hearing this rubbish anywhere, all I ask is to take it with a grain of salt. I love you, Alex, I really do, and I'm calling you out right now because that is just too much fear that we don't want to throw into the collective consciousness. It's just, no, we don't want to do that. The governments are doing that enough for us than to make us feel as though we're going to die from some pandemic called Ebola, which the United States government, coincidentally enough, has the patent for. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is Google it. It's real simple to find out, that this Ebola virus was not created in, didn't start in Africa. It basically was made in a lab right here in the United States of America. So it's very, very irritating for me to watch this and listen to this because it's totally untrue. It's kind of like the whole FEMA camp thing. And also HARP. I don't know if you guys heard, but HARP up in Alaska is closing down. They are closing HARP down finally. This is something that Jesse Ventura helped expose on mainstream television in regards to this, mind control, controlling the weather type of thing. So now we can't blame HAARP for our problems, even though we do have different HAARP centers all throughout the globe, even out at sea. But we have to really remember that a lot of this stuff that we, as we said last week with Laura Eisenhower, we had Laura Eisenhower on the show last week, the great-granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to that show, it was an absolutely incredible show that we talked about what is going on with the collective unconsciousness, with humanity, and where we're heading down the line. And Laura and I both came up to the conclusion that we are heading down what we call a positive timeline. These are very, very important things that we need to allow the collective consciousness, that's the collective consciousness, to remind us that, we just are human and that we are just living this human experience here on this earth. And we're just temporary. That's it. We're temporary here, and hopefully we will all move on to ascend to different levels of consciousness, different levels of spiritualism, all of that good stuff. So tonight, it's actually going to be a very important show for me because one of the guests that I'm having on this evening, JoAnne and I have known each other for a long time, and we were fellow Christians, brother and sister, not brother and sister by blood, but we are fellow brothers and sisters through Christ. And I myself have had an awakening. My spiritual awakening started in 2001, right after 9/11. I can remember just myself just going through a lot of weird things happening in my life after 9/11, 2001, and it's carried on since then. And that has been kind of my core awakening because in the 90s, I really didn't pay much attention other than out there partying, drinking, and having a good old time, just like a lot of you out there listening to me tonight are probably doing. Which we want to kind of, watch that as well. We don't want to be out there letting spirits get in. And that's why they call them spirits, because we're allowing something to change our consciousness. And what is that spirit? Well, that spirit is definitely alcohol. So you have to be very careful how you basically hold yourself while you're on this planet. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about another thing that's out there. And I was talking to Chantel of Sex at the Beach. And Chantel brings up this she saw me post this thing on my Facebook page about the zombie apocalypse. And there was this picture of this guy that was supposedly dead from Ebola virus. And I got a lot of emails in regards to this particular article that I posted on my Facebook page. And if you haven't had a chance to go to my Facebook page and you would like to become a follower of ours, all you have to do is go to www.facebook.com/32 Degrees of Insanity. That's all one word, 32 Degrees of Insanity, or just type in your search bar 32 Degrees of Insanity or Ursu Adams. That's URSU ADAMS. And you can follow us or friend us. I think you might be able to friend us, but I think you can only follow us nowadays because we have about 5,000 friends. Really hard to add you as a friend. But, if you'd like to follow us and watch what's going on, because we have a lot of interesting information on that wall. It's like what we talk about once a week here on the air. We're talking about 24/7 on the Facebook page and our like page as well. But talking about this Ebola virus. So there's supposedly some guy in Africa that has contracted the Ebola virus, and I guess he was pronounced dead, and then he was risen. And there's this picture of this guy, looks like from The Walking Dead or something. And I posted it because I thought it was very satirish. I thought it was, quite interesting to post. That was funny to post. And I said, here's some more fear porn for all of you this week. Because that's exactly what the propaganda out there is all about right now. It's all about fear porn and getting everybody out there to fear this so-called Ebola virus pandemic or whatever you want to call it. It's craziness. We have the New York airport shutting down because now all of the airplane workers don't want to work on the planes that are coming out of Africa, so they're like, no, I'm not going to go in. Then there's guys that are on planes that are African American. They're coming from Africa, and they're getting stopped by the officials on board planes, and they're yelling, "I'm not from Africa!" But yet they're getting stopped and they're getting quarantined. What is happening out there on the East Coast, ladies and gentlemen? Why are we so quiet out here in the West? Because we don't take the BS and we don't walk with it. We're just kind of smoothing into our stuff, and that's what we should be doing. We should be kind of taking everything with a grain of salt. But these East Coasters, man, watch out. I don't know. I lived out in Boston for a long time, and they take everything pretty seriously out there, including from Washington, D.C. up through New York and into Boston. This is some serious military-industrial complex type of stuff that's happening out there. And if they are doing this Ebola thing and it's coming through the United States, it is more or less a psychological operation done by the U.S. government, and it is also a false flag attack against the American people. If it is going to be a chemical warfare type of thing, this is produced. And I'll tell you right now, this is produced by the United States government. And we are going to talk about this tonight with JoAnne as well. So stick around for this. It's going to be an exciting night filled with all kinds of stuff. So it is 9/11 in the evening. We are broadcasting live from the Key Beach studios right here in Long Beach, California. Beautiful Long Beach. It was a little cloudy today, but man, has it been hot. It's been hot all over the place. And that's, now they're talking about this really cold winter, this polar vortex again. And, I'm just so glad and so blessed that I'm here in beautiful Southern California. I think I told you guys last week that I moved into my new place. I love it. It's absolutely great. I have some wonderful roommates. I feel like I've got a family, and it just feels wonderful. I also am going to be making a little bit of a program change here. Coming up, as I said, I thought I was going to go up to the Rob Zombie American Halloween adventure thing. I thought that was happening here in Southern California, but it looks like they moved it to Illinois. So that is not going to happen now. And so what I'm going to probably do is do something with the Queen Mary, where we'll broadcast live from the Queen Mary on October 30th. They have a Halloween haunted house on the boat there. So we're going to do something of that factor down there. We'll do a remote broadcast of some sort. And, of course, on October 31st in the new house, I got kids all over the place. I'm going to have to, hand out candy. Just something I'm going to have to do. But, we're slowly approaching the holiday season. We have a huge guest coming on November 7th. Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall. Now, this name might not sound familiar to you, but he is from Australia. Brian has been on my show several times, and he's caused quite a controversy, I would say. One of the reasons why is Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall believes that he is Jesus Christ in the flesh. And how he proves this is he shows that the Shroud of Turin is the exact same image as his face. And it's really kind of eerie when he does. There's a video on this, and he talks about, his lineage and his relationship to the Queen of England and his relationship to the Giza pyramids. And he has this all like down to an exact science, which makes you wonder, interesting. But what really freaks you out is when you see his image of his face and it kind of superimposed on the Shroud of Turin. And if you are not familiar with this, what the Shroud of Turin is, the Shroud of Turin is basically the cloth that supposedly Jesus Christ was buried in. And when he was found by Mary Magdalene, when the cloth was found, and that he had risen from the dead and ascended into heaven, or actually descended to hell first and then ascended to heaven, that this was the shroud that he was that he was clothed in. And you see this image of Christ and I think it's on display in Israel. And it's absolutely an amazing thing. They actually did some carbon dating on it recently, where they proved that there was some sort of radioactive material, and it kind of proved that, an ascension of energy of some sort that came through there burnt its way through the shroud. So Brian is going to join me here, along with his wife, Ash. They're going to be talking about, you guessed it, the end of the world. So this should be a very interesting show. So that is going to happen on November 7th. So spark your calendars for that. Next week, we will have Sergeant, not Captain, Sergeant Chuck Gollop of the, he is a retired police officer from Minneapolis, Bloomington to be exact, very close friend of mine, and he will be joining me on the show next week as well. But without further ado, I want to introduce my guest to you this evening. Her name is JoAnne, and she is a 16-year veteran, highly decorated former intel analyst with the military-industrial complex. She was in the Air Force branch of sorts. She held a top-secret SCI security level access. She is fluent in Russian language, working with top secret Renaissance assets to search their frequency spectrum and identify and assess enemy